Hey guys, Josh Hatcher here for Manlihood.com. Listen, I'm really glad you guys chose to join us today. It is Thursday, which means it's Creative Thursday, which is a day every week that we set aside to feature our creative talents. So, we've had some artists, we've had some musicians, we've had poets, all kinds of things. And I'm going to tell you, I myself love to use poetry to express myself. So I want to share a poem with you today. It's from this book, Sweat, Sawdust, and the Millpond, which is actually one of the first books that I've ever published. And a lot of the poems were actually inspired by my time as a young man working on an old sawmill. And I worked for an old guy named Bill Sowers, who was a veteran. He'd beat cancer twice by the time he came into my life. He knew I needed work, so he fired up his old sawmill. It was an 1850s sawmill that had been rebuilt, converted to run on natural gas. And it was a death trap, but it was amazing. He would run the logs through, and I'd pull them off. I'd take the timbers, and we were basically making wood shingles out of white pine. That's what we did. But the whole experience was something awesome, and I wrote some poems about it, so I'm going to share one of them with you today. It's from a section of poems called The Old Man in the Mill, and this one is entitled One. She was a beauty. Ancient and upcycled old sawmill. I have no idea what was original and what had been replaced and hobbled. The antique yellow engine, half the age of the rest, sputtered and coughed up diesel, spinning her belt. The old sawn boards, grayed and cragged by the sun, cracks filled with white pine sawdust. The old steel, tracks and carriage were black, with orange crust creeping at the edges. We kept it in the massive blade covered with rubber tarps, but moisture always found a way in, just enough to leave a little crust. Not enough to eat it away. My job was to clean the bark with an old crowbar. The bath in the deep mill pond usually did its trick. The bark would shed like a t-shirt, mostly in one piece. We spun the log on the old carriage, and the old man Bill and I'd dodge his occasional curses as she played with him. She'd taunt and tease. After all, she was much older than old man Bill. And I'd stand on the backside of the blade, guiding the timbers over the rollers to the forklift. On a hot day, she would reward me, coating me with wet sawdust and Millpond spray. Oh, the smell of white pine, pond water, and diesel was the best summer. And at the end of the day, the spring that fed the Millpond would give me a drink. I'd stick my whole face into the hole in the ground and suck the water in, drowning just long enough to cool my hot tongue. Anyway, thanks guys. It's from Sweat, Sawdust, and the Millpond. Grab it at Amazon. Remember, be creative. Thanks guys.